Ben Mogil with us, Stifel Nicolaus. You got to be an optimist to follow the movies. Ben, are the movie theaters dead? Are movie theaters dead?
No, don't think that they are at all. I mean, the box office, year to date's I think down around 13%, but quarter to date's up about 4%. I think, look, the reality is that you're seeing a transition. Clearly, everything you were talking about earlier, the home markets continue to sort of erode away a little bit at the box office. But I think what you're seeing really that's changed a lot for the studios and even for some of the technology providers is the international markets are really bailing them out. Growth outside the U.S. has been nothing short of spectacular in the industry in general.
That sounds like every other industry that we speak about. Here's a Ben Mogil quote. Check this out, guys. Hit the pause button this season, and this is all that enthusiasm. We would be cautious of the euphoria out there and extrapolating the first few May films into July and August. By then, the audience fatigue often sets in. Ben Mogil, does the international audience have a summer season? Is their calendar linked in with ours?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the parts of, sort of the Southern Hemisphere works on a bit of a different schedule, but in that case, you still end up having the big summer blockbusters in North America, sort of basically guiding throughout the whole world. You do see a little bit of changes sometimes around things like the World Cup, which you saw last year. So last year, second quarter movies got pushed into the third quarter outside the U.S. because of the World Cup. But generally speaking, the summer box office is what it is.
Let's go away from gloom. Let's start optimism. Ben Mogil, RealD, symbol RLD. What is RealD, Ben Mogil, and why is this a single best buy?
Sure. So RealD is a company that basically provides the 3D technology and software. It's the largest movie theater chains basically globally. I think they've got 18 out of the 19 top theater chains, including, I think, all top 10 in North America. The way to look at that story is it's a royalty-based model. They get paid on average 50 cents outside of the U.S. and in the mid-40s in the U.S. for every single patron that goes through. And so as long as you think 3D continues to be a viable market segment, they get paid very well for that. We estimate that it takes them about between 12 and 18 months to recoup their investment per screen. So pretty quick payback period, high royalty business, and of course they're going to try to expand into the home. You've seen ESPN and Discovery launch 3D channels in the home as well.
Let's go the other way. Regal Cinema, you've been way out front on this. The movie theater jump condition, and you can see how we moved there, folks. We showed this with Pim earlier. And then down we go in 08, 09, and we just really haven't come back. What is the management of something as venerable as Regal doing to make the summer of 2011 happen?
Sure. Well, a couple of things. I mean, let's just start with structurally. One of the things that ails Regal is they've got no international opportunities or no international operations. So if you look at the domestic box office, it's generally one where attendance is down 1 to 2% a year. So if you're fighting that trend, there's not a lot you can do. One of the things that Regal's been more aggressive on than, say, compared to AMC, which it competes against the most of any circuit, is they've rolled out a lot more 3D than AMC has. So they will enter June and July with about 40% of their screens in 3D, whereas I think AMC is in the mid-teens. So I think from that perspective, Regal is going to make it that if you want to see a movie in 3D and in a competitive market where they operate against AMC, chances are you're going to want to see it in their venue. The other thing they've been doing a lot of that's been helping them on the margin is they've been closing a lot of underperforming theaters. So I think last year they probably closed 2% of their theater base, which is a lot when you realize you're stuck in these long-term leases that don't allow you to change inventory.
3D, 3D, 3D. Is it a distraction or is it the real deal, Ben?
I mean, look, I think it's certainly the real deal. I mean, like any movie, it's going to be higher for some movies than others. So certainly for kids' movies, it's going to likely trend around the 40 to 50% level. For better sort of visual movies, Avatar being the best example, it'll be in the 55 to 60% level. Certainly, the risk for the exhibitors this year is that everything is primed perfectly. They have a lot of 3D screens, they have a lot of 3D movies. So I think the concern that some people have is sort of what's next. You look at next year, it's tough to get super excited because everything that was primed out is being rolled out this year.
Then there isn't Pirates of the Caribbean 4. Here's Betsy over at the Los Angeles Times. Bring it up here. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. If all that sounds like a promising place to work, a lot of 3D magic, major letdown. The D's in this instance stand for dark, dismal, claustrophobic. Whoa. What does it mean financially when you get a review like that? That looks like our planning meeting in the morning. Ben? What does it mean when you look at a review like that and you run a studio?
Sure. I mean, look, no studio ever wants to open a movie to bad reviews. I think one thing to keep in mind, reviews matter for some genres more than they matter for other genres. They certainly matter a lot more for big, for small art house films than they do for action films like that. Look, the movie did 90 million opening weekend, which was a little bit softer than the 100 million they were looking for, but not by any means a disaster. But the more important thing about Pirates is Pirates did 3 times that box office business internationally. 66% of Pirates' international box office came from 3D versus only about 46% in North America. And I think that's important because you're seeing the international markets really help bail the studios out of some problems.
They're bailing them out. How much do they take on $1 internationally versus $1 in Des Moines?
Sure. So the studios would probably take 55, 58% on something like Pirates North America. They would probably take in the mid to high 40s international. Exhibitors have more power internationally than they do domestically.
Mm-hmm. We showed the Disney chart earlier, Ben Mogil. I was blown away at the performance of Disney. Just what a terrific equity that's been. Can you own and buy and hold Disney here?
So Disney's actually covered by my colleague Drew Crum, so I'm kind of going to leave him to those answers.
I know, but it's a Friday. Come on, Ben, help me.
Drew upgraded this week Disney to a buy, and I think he's got a $50 target price. So Drew's a very, very good, smart guy. I'm going to go with Drew on this one.
Very good. Ben Mogil, thank you so much. I'll look into the securities analysis of the theater business. And, of course, the major message there, like we hear say from Ann Dignan over at J.P. Morgan on industrials, go international. It's like go Western Man, except it's go international.